Periscope and Facebook. Thank you guys so much for joining me. My name is Candace Armour and I am super excited to be here with you guys. Like I said, my name is Candace Armour, Candace Junée. I am going to share with you my what I've learned over the past year and leading up to the past year of quitting my job in corporate America. So for those who don't know, like I said, my name is Candace Junée. I am the founder of Epic Fab Girl. I'm also the founder of Candace Junée Consulting, and I'm from Chicago. I am a woman who is just passionate about helping other women walk in their God-given purpose. And I'm also just extremely passionate about business, entrepreneurship, and all of that. And I absolutely love Jesus for all that he is to me. And honestly, like, my life was radically transformed after graduating college and just kind of going through just negative like relationships and just not really knowing who I was and not knowing my purpose. And so I just wanted to share with you guys just a little bit more about my personal journey. And this is really a Q&A session. So if you are on live, make sure that you type in some questions that you have. You know, maybe you're considering quitting your job. Maybe you don't know if quitting your job is the right thing to do. Or maybe you're just in that position where you're like, maybe I can make my hot side hustle work for me for forever. I want you guys to ask me whatever questions you may have about the process and kind of what I've learned since quitting my job a year ago. So I'll tell you guys a little bit about my background. So like I said, I'm from Chicago, and thank you guys for joining live. I really, really appreciate you guys joining live. So essentially, I'm from Chicago, and I went to school to study mechanical engineering. I also ended up getting my MBA because I realized that I did not want to do engineering for a lifetime. Like, that was just not my stilo. And so I decided to make that transition and apply for this master's program in business. And when I did that, I went back to what I would consider is my first love. Like, I always liked entrepreneurship. Girl, yes, look at God. Someone on Facebook was like, wow, I literally Googled 5 minutes ago things to do before you quit your job. So this is right on time for you. I'm really excited. So I hope you can stay on for the whole time. And even if you can't, make sure you watch the replay. I'll keep it up live. And pretty much over the next month or so, I just want to share my wisdom about what I've learned since quitting my job. I feel like there's so many lessons learned, especially as an entrepreneur of faith. And so for me, like I said, I graduated from college and had my MBA, and I went back to my first love of business because I had always been the girl who was like super into hair. I did hair extensions, or I actually just braided hair, you know, throughout high school. And then I got to college and I was doing everybody's hair, and I was braiding hair. Hey, Tara. I was braiding hair. I was doing some of everything to help women figure out how to do their hair when they're in college. And I started doing hair extensions and installing that and doing everybody's sew-ins and stuff. And that transitioned to me actually starting a hair extensions company called Fancy Extensions, where this hair is actually from 4 years ago. But I started this hair extensions company back, I think, in 2012. And it turned into like a business that, you know, I didn't expect to be as successful as it was. And I didn't even realize how successful it was financially at that age. I just kind of thought that was normal to be making thousands of dollars a month off of selling a product. And so I transitioned after that into working in corporate America. And once I started working in corporate America, I basically had this, you know, ambition to work in corporate, kind of rise through the ranks of corporate. I loved marketing. I had landed a job at a digital technology company, or at a consulting company in the digital technology marketing space. And I should put my phone on, what do you call it? Do not disturb, because people keep calling. So anywho, basically I had been working in corporate and literally doing marketing and really getting excited, working for these Fortune 500 companies, for these global brands, helping them do some of everything. And really quickly, I rose through the ranks within the company, and I was traveling the world, having a great time doing it. I was getting paid. I got a raise within like my first year, and by that time I had been making six figures. I had a six-figure salary and benefits package, and somehow along the way I felt unfulfilled, right? Like it was extremely unfulfilled. I felt like even though I was learning a lot where I was, I knew that this wasn't the end for me. And I had to make the mature decision a year and a half in, when I decided that I wanted to quit my job, that I could not quit my job at that point in time, because I had not financially set my business up. I had not financially like saved so that I could essentially live and be okay without a full-time income. I had not prepared to quit my job. And my business, Epic Fab Girl, at the time was just a blog. I had literally just started this blog. Thank you. I literally just started the blog, and I had writers and doing all these different things, but it just wasn't really picking up quite yet. And so it just didn't make sense for me at that point in time to quit my job. And I tell people this all the time, because a lot of times people get excited and they're like, I can't stand my job. I know I'm better than this. I know I'm better than doing all of this stuff. And they got me over here, filing papers and doing PowerPoints. And do you know how brilliant I am? And it's like, sometimes your brilliance has to be taught how to serve someone else for a season until you're ready to get on your feet and go out there and do it on your own. I was at a point like a year and a half before I quit my job where everything, like the finances were good. I was in a place of abundance, but God had specifically told me not to quit my job yet, because he said that it wasn't time yet and that there was more that he wanted me to learn. And I think that a lot of times people forfeit the time that they spend in corporate America or on their full-time job, because they're like, I'm better than this. I don't need to be doing this. I need to leave my job. And you over here leaving your job in your timing, and then you walk away with no real plan for how to execute after you've quit your job. What are you going to do to get income after you quit your job? What are you going to do? What people are you going to serve? Do you even have an audience that is already following you? You need to ask yourself these things, because you quitting your job and starting to work full-time isn't going to just start making money come in. What you forget is that the company that you work for has already done the job of getting the people that are going to pay them. You just happen to be a person that may be working in a space where there are customers coming in and you're serving those customers. But you didn't think about the fact that that person had to spend marketing dollars to get those people in the door, to even be face to face with you that is doing the work that you're doing. So don't get too ahead of yourself when it comes to quitting your job. It's important to quit your job in the right timing, but to have certain things lined up before you do. So the things for me that I had to have lined up, my big thing was, okay, I have a home, right? Like, I'm sitting in a house. This is not just an apartment. I have a mortgage, okay? I have a car note. I have several things that I had to take care of financially for me to feel comfortable to walk away from my full-time job. And so for me, I had to create a budget. I created a budget that said, okay, this is how much money I need monthly to sustain my lifestyle. And I had to get honest with myself. What things can I cut away and be okay with? And what things can I go away with and be okay with? And how, I got a question about, and someone asked, and you're maintaining all of this with your company. I'll get into that. So this is the point. This is why it's really important. You want to figure out how much money you need to have month to month. And I live in Chicago, and it is expensive to live here. So I had to consider all those things. So when doing my budget, I had to ask myself, okay, let me look at how much money I'm spending on food. Let me look at how much money I'm spending on everything that I'm spending, and see, first of all, does it make sense for me to be spending the money that I'm spending? So for me, that was a no. I'm over here getting my nails done all the time, getting my hair done whenever I want to. So I had to start to ask myself, what was it okay for me to cut back on? So I began to start cutting back on things like getting my nails done. I only get my nails done for special occasions. I live in Chicago, Illinois. Okay. I get a lot of questions on Periscope, and thank you guys for the hearts. Remember to keep double tapping the screen. And if you're on Facebook, and you like what you hear, make sure you hit that like button, hit that comment button, and say, you know, you're feeling this, or if you have any questions, I'm definitely going to answer that. And I want to make sure that even if you know anybody who might be able to learn from this, hit the share button. Type their name, tag them in this post, because someone may need to hear this. Even if you're not the one that's getting ready to quit your job, I know I was searching for information when I was getting ready to quit my job. I was like, how do you know when it's the right time? How do you know if it's God? How do you know? Maybe it's not for you. Maybe somebody else needs to hear this. So thank you for Mommy Needs a Time Out. Thank you for sharing. Thank you, Ariel, for commenting, and thank you, Sierra, for commenting as well. So I really, really appreciate that, you guys. But when it comes to quitting your job, you really have to figure out your budget and how much money you can actually live off of. So do all your basic expenses, and then start to think about, okay, what can I actually afford? You know, because you don't want to quit your job and then just be miserable because you're living on this budget that is terrible. You want to kind of filter in. So for me, I filtered in like, okay, I like to go to brunch. I might not be able to go to brunch every weekend, but I may be able to go to brunch, you know, like once every other month. Or, you know, maybe I'll start shopping at Aldi instead of shopping at, you know, if you're from Chicago, what's the store? Dang, Mariano's or something like Whole Foods. I started cutting back on my budget. I had to, this wig that y'all see, I gladly installed this on my own. I don't have to pay any extra coin to get my hair done because I know how to do my hair. And so there are ways that I was able to cut my spending down so that I could be effective once I quit my job, because I never wanted to get to a point where I was leaving my job. Thank you. Somebody said it looks natural, so thanks. When I was leaving my job, I never wanted to get to a point where I was living beneath, like where I was living at a point where I was miserable because I couldn't live my life the way I wanted to. And, you know, I had to realize like, okay, I can do without getting my nails done. I can do without going out every time somebody asks me to go out. I can do without, you know, and I started driving Uber. Like before I quit my job, I was like, let me stack up a little few extra coins. Let me drive Uber and see if this is something that helped me. So even when I first quit my job, when I, you know, hadn't really understood how to consistently get clients in, I had a backup plan. Child, I was over here driving Uber. I was the girl picking you up in Lyft in the mornings. And guess what? I ended up getting clients through Lyft and Uber. I ended up getting job offers through Lyft and Uber. And, you know, I think a lot of times people try to make their journey seem glamorized, and it has not been that for me. Like, it has been difficult, but I just do not give up, and I remain consistent in all that I'm doing. So if you're considering quitting your job, you absolutely need to figure out how are you going to make money, okay? Because a lot of times you may try to think that the way that you're going to make money is actually going to be profitable, but what happens if that doesn't work? I've done several product launches that didn't work, and I've done several product launches that were great, but all the time you're not always going to have that consistent income coming through as an entrepreneur. And you know, I was so used to getting my check on the 7th and the 21st, I think that was, whenever it was. I used to get my checks twice a month, and they used to be nice, and I used to have that budgeted all out. But now that you're working full time, you have to consider the fact that, you know, you're not going to be getting a consistent check. Money might not be as consistent each month. And, you know, for me, I was like, okay, now I know I have a great service to offer, but how am I going to get people to buy products from me? How am I going to get people to actually become paying clients? And so that process was a journey. So what I wanted to do, I told myself that I wanted to have, how many months? 6 months of income saved up before I quit my job. So that's income that covered all of my expenses, and I added in a little bit of cushion so that, you know, if any emergencies or random things that I didn't consider came up, that I would still be okay. And pretty much what happened with me was, I guess I'll tell the whole long elongated story basically. But basically, long story short, I had been praying to God in 2017 about when I should quit my job. I had been praying and fasting in January of 2017, and God gave me the date of August 31st, 2017. So I'm like, okay, great, boom, gonna have this amount of money saved up by then. I will be Gucci, and I will be okay to walk away from my job. Now, the reason why I wanted to have that money saved up was because I did not want to just be out here chasing paper. Like, I wanted to do what I felt was organic and original. And I didn't want to only be doing things just to make money. I wanted to do things that added value and to understand my audience. And I wanted to take that time to organically grow instead of just pushing myself out there and making a ton of just trying to chase the paper, right? And so for me, my situation was kind of unique because I had been building this business on the side, and it got to a point where it was so overwhelming and I could not do my side hustle and my business and my full-time job at the same time, and it also be successful. Like, there was just no time in the day. And I had to get to a point where I'm like, okay, for a while, I'm gonna chill on my business. But once I quit my job, I was able to go full-fledged into everything that I was doing in terms of building my brand with Epic Fab Girl. I started planning my conference. I started getting sponsorships. And it was a full-time job. So the thing is, if you're prematurely quitting your job, that means that you would quit your job and you would not have anything to do all day the next day that you quit your job. So it's like, what are you going to do when you actually quit your job? Do you have a strategy? Do you have a plan? Do you know what you're going to spend your time doing? Do you even know who your audience is? Do you even know, what it is you want to do? You're over here talking about, I just want to quit my job and start a business. You need to start that business before you quit that job, okay? And so for me, I had to make that decision at the beginning of 2017. I picked that date. I said August of 2017, August 31st was going to be my last date. 2 weeks before August 31st, literally all my funds were drying up. Just everything that could go wrong did go wrong. And the money that I wanted to have saved up just was not there. And I'm big on faith, and I believe that I have the gift of faith. And I honestly was like, okay, God, you told me to quit my job at this point in time, and nothing is lining up. Why is this not working out? Why am I in this place where I'm being obedient to what you told me to do, but nothing looks like what you said it would look like? And I was so nervous. I was so afraid, and I talked myself out of quitting my job. So even though that December 2016, I had written my letter of resignation, and I had dated it. For later in 2017, I had not quit my job. So August 31st rolls around, and I feel like I am pregnant with a baby. I feel like I am trying to abort a child at 9 months. And it felt so wrong. I was like, Lord, I don't know what this pressure is about. And so at that point, I made the decision. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to trust God. I know that this is what he told me to do. There was this nervous anxiety with me not quitting my job. But the second I went and got that letter of resignation, little did I know I had typed the date September 15th, 2017 was going to be the last day that I worked at that company. And even though I was supposed to submit my letter of resignation 2 weeks ago for that August 31st deadline, it was literally already aligned the way that God wanted it to be aligned. I submitted my letter of resignation August 31st, 2017, and my last day on the job was September 15th, 2017. Now, the crazy thing was, God had told me, he was like, go back and look at your budget again to see about everything. So I started looking at my budget again, and he showed me that the exact dollar amount that I needed and had been asking for was saved up in my in terms of paid time off at the company. And it was also other investments that I had forgotten about that had accumulated to the exact dollar amount that I had been asking God for. And it was crazy because it just shows God's perfect timing and alignment. That money was deposited into my account the day after my final day at the company. So literally everything I had asked God for was already there, but it even speaks to his perfect timing, how he gave me the date of August. And that date of August, had it not been the end of August, I would not have allowed those investments to even accumulate to the exact dollar amount that I had wanted. So the thing that I've learned since quitting my job, and even prior to quitting my job, was to trust God and to continuously and relentlessly have faith in God, and to be obedient to him no matter what it looks like. So for me, when I was like, okay, God, I don't know what it is that you want me to be doing. I don't know how I should move. I don't know how I should be. It was like God was taking me to a place of trusting him, even blindly, even when I could not see what I had been asking him for. So if this is blessing you, like I said, make sure that you leave some hearts, make sure that you comment, make sure that you share this with someone that you think may need to hear this. And honestly, quitting my job was one of the best things that I've ever decided to do, because since quitting my job, not only was I able to become an author for the first time, I launched my third business, Candace Junée Consulting Company. I also was able to host my Go-Getter conference for Epic Fab Girl, and that was a sold out event with nearly 200 women that showed up from across the country, because I decided to be obedient to God and say yes to what he wanted me to do, and relentlessly pursue after my purpose and the vision that he had given me. The thing is that I had been planning that conference since the beginning of 2017, but it did not come into fruition until March of 2018, by way of just God being in the midst of what I was doing and me being obedient. And so literally you have to realize that God is with you and that he's going to give you a vision. And one of my really good friends told me this, because I was kind of nervous with even planning my conference. How do I'm over here like, okay, God, thank you so much for sharing. And thank you guys for who's joining on Periscope. I just had to be like, God, like, what is it that you want me to do? And even as God gave me vision, it was so scary. I'm like, how am I going to put on this amazing conference? And I just quit my job. I don't have any extra budget. You didn't tell me to save up money to put on a conference. You told me to save up money to quit my job. And so at that point, I'm like, okay, God, I have to trust you. And at that point, it really was like, my friend had to tell me, he was like, if God gave you a vision, he's going to give you provision for it. You just have to do and I was like, wow, that's amazing. And it gave me the extra push to continue to do the things that God had told me to do. And I had to realize, like, wow, like, if God told me to do something, I should just start acting on it. And I've learned that me doing exactly that has been what has allowed for God to move on my behalf. He met me in the place of provision where he told me to go. He provided once I was obedient to him. If I would have stayed stuck where I was, none of the things that he said would have come to pass, because I was never obedient to meet him in the place where he told me to go. He promised provision in a place where I was not yet at, but I had to have the faith to get there on my own, because I needed to trust that he would not leave me in a place where he would not provide provision. I had to trust that God would take me to a place where and I don't mean to over spiritualize anything about entrepreneurship, but that is my journey. That is my journey. It was God leading me to a place where I didn't know what it would look like. I didn't know what my life would look like a year after quitting my job. Do you guys know that literally, like, my prayer every week of after quitting my job has been like, Lord, I don't know how you're gonna do it. Like, oh child, I could cry. I'm trying not to cry, y'all, but y'all have no idea. Like, God has been so faithful. Like, he has been so faithful. I've literally been like, God, I don't know how you're going to do it. Don't know how it's going to work out. I just know that you will. I know that you sent me to this place of provision. I know that you sent me with directions, and I'm going to follow you in that. And because I made the decision to follow God, that's where he met me. That's where he met me, is in the place of my obedience. And so you have to remember that no matter what you're going through, if God gave you an idea or a vision, or it's telling you to do something, that when you're obedient to what he told you to do, that he will meet you in that place. And so, I even since quitting my job, I've literally I've literally, what have I done? What am I talking about? I've been studying Hebrews 11, and it talks about faith. And, you know, this entire journey has been a complete faith walk for me, because literally, Hebrews talks about how it's impossible to please God without faith. But it also talks about faith being the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. And when we talk about faith, we're also always talking about sight. We walk by faith and not by sight. You cannot walk by the things according to what you see. There have been many times where I'm like, God, you know, it feels like my house is about to go into foreclosure, and I don't need that. And I don't know how this is going to work itself out, but I just know that it will. And so I just began to profess things over my life. I began to say, okay, I serve a God that has never failed me. And because he has never failed me, and because he will never, ever, ever, ever fail me, I know I'm good. I know that God got me. I know that he's sending the right people to me. I know that he's sending the right clients to me. I know that, and literally even like, maybe 2 weeks ago, like I probably had the lowest of the low moments. I had just had a friend who passed away in a tragic accident. There was just so many things that were going on, and like at the same time, like, you know, things financially had become like terrible. Like it just was terrible. It was like, I never would have thought. And I kept being like, God, is this the way that you want glory to be brought to your name? Because this what I'm going through doesn't feel like it's giving you glory. It feels like, you know, are you proud of where I'm at in my brokenness and me not having enough, me not being in a place where I used to have more than enough and I walked away. And now I'm in a place where everything has been stripped from me. But what God has had to teach me is that my identity is not based in what I do, nor is it based in how much money I make, nor is it based in me being this amazing businesswoman. None of that matters. At the end of the day, as long as I'm obeying God, being pleasing to God by being obedient to him, by having faith and trusting him that he will get the glory. It's not our job to figure out how God's going to get the glory. It's our job to be obedient to what God told us to do. So there have been plenty of times like it was probably, at the beginning of August, it was just like, things were terrible. I was like, God, I don't know how I'm gonna pay my car note. I don't know how any of this stuff is gonna come together. A bunch of surprise things just kept coming up that I could not have expected. But it was like God began to come through. Literally, I've had phone calls from random people who've been like, I've been thinking about you. I don't know what it is, but God told me to call you. And like, I'm crying because it's like, I've cried in these moments, but it's like people would be like, oh, God told me to call you. And I'm like, oh, God had put me on your heart. No, actually, perfect example. There was this man that God kept telling me to call. He's like, call this man, call this man, call this man. I'm like, okay, I'll call him. And I kept putting it off. And then I ended up calling the man, and he's like, wow, I don't know what it is that you're doing, but my wife has been telling me about you. And my wife has been telling me how you do all this stuff on Facebook and that you have this business. And I wanted to know if you could help me. And the very thing that I was about to pitch to him about, he needed help with. And so I ended up helping him and literally getting paid that, like, in a moment where I had no idea where I was about to get my next paycheck, when I had no idea where I was about to get my next client, where I was out here grinding, trying to get clients and it wasn't working. And then God sent the perfect person. And honestly, thank you, Latoya. Thank you so much. Honestly, it was literally one of those moments where I was like, okay, God, you know, I trust that you're with me. And every time that God meets me, it's another seed of faith for me. It's another push of faith for me to walk in the direction that God wants me to go in. And like, not only did God come through in that moment, even a couple weeks ago when stuff was just like a complete disarray, I literally stopped and I said, God, I don't even know what it is you're doing. I'm tired of crying at this point. I love you. I know that you're going to get the glory out of this, but what I need you to do is to expedite the money for one of my clients, because I had tons of invoices that are unpaid where clients are like, yeah, I'm about to get started. I want to get started. And I'm like, okay, God, you know, these people are ready. They're saying they're ready. So make their pocketbooks ready. Let them be ready. And I literally, like within maybe 2 hours, I had a client reach out to me and be like, hey, I know we're about to start we were supposed to start at the beginning of September. Actually, can we start now? And literally I got paid $1,000 in like 2 hours, just out of me being willing to trust God and not being afraid of not knowing how things would work out. And so for me, I've learned that you just have to trust God in the process. You have to trust that, you know, number one, like, there are different type of business owners, right? There are people that have established businesses like Kashira, who's on here now. So that have established businesses that are already creating income and that can support themselves and their business outside of the context of their full-time job. So even if they walked away from their full-time job, they would be okay. And they knew how to create streams of income. But there were people like me who are still trying to figure it out because, hey girl, there are people who were still trying to figure out, and I knew that I could not figure it out while still working a full-time job. I knew that because of the demanding nature of the type of work that I was doing before, that I could not do both and, right? Like I had to do either or. And so I gave myself room, and that gave me room to trust God. So every time when I'm like, okay, I don't know how I'm gonna pay for this, I don't know how I'm gonna pay for that, like God literally came through by way of me trusting him. And then not only that, I just had to start getting creative. So when you don't have resources or when you don't have finances, you have to utilize your resources to create a space for you to generate income. So I had to start getting creative about the things that I was doing, and it forced me into a level of creativity I would have never experienced had I not been in a place where, you know, I didn't have what I thought I needed to be successful. So you have to learn to trust God. So before quitting my job, I had to make sure that not only my finances were in alignment, but I had to make sure that I was spiritually and mentally prepared for where God was taking me. I think a lot of times we pray for things that we would not be ready for if they actually came. So it's like you have to prepare and mentally prepare and create systems. So one of the things that I made sure that I did was I created a system for my time. I made sure that I had like calendar invites and everything set up on my calendar. I literally created a schedule for what I would do every single day. Like I had Monday through Friday. What was my plan of action every single day? What would I spend my time on once I quit my job? So if you don't know exactly how you're going to spend your time, you don't need to quit your job, because you're being irresponsible with your time in the same way that someone who has money, if they did not budget their money, that they would be acting irresponsibly because they're not budgeting their money. So I had to realize, okay, which days am I going to take clients? Which days are going to be my days where I don't talk to nobody and I just do creative stuff, where I just record videos? Which days, she said, I think that's me. I may not be ready. Like, you have to have something to do. And if you don't have a source of income already coming in, that means that once you quit your job, you're going to have to figure it out, right? And so you have to figure out, how long do you think it'll take for you to have it figured out? I figured stuff out within a short period of time, but I still ain't got it all the way figured out, right? So I'm still in a journey, in a process of trying to figure out and get to the point where, you know, I'm consistently creating products that make sense for my audience, because I've tried a lot, and some of it works and some of it doesn't, and some of it requires too much work on my behalf. So I'm having to consistently self-evaluate and consistently look at what I'm doing. And you can be smart and hire somebody like Kashira, sorry to keep hollering at you, Kashira, but she's literally amazing. Like, a single phone call with her will put you in the right direction. And even for me, the thing that I've realized is that I have several superpowers, right? And I am great at helping other people with their stuff, but my superpowers do not apply to me. Like, for whatever reason, God just, like, it's like I'm too deep in where I can't just see from a bird's eye view of what makes sense. So that's why I have to go to God, because he is the one that can see my bird's eye view. He is the one. And just being able to talk to somebody that can help you get to that point, and even talk to you about whether or not, you know, it's the right timing. I help people put together a plan of action to actually quit their job, by looking at their finances, by looking at everything that they do. Thank you, Kashira. By looking at everything that they do and really helping them see how they can transition from the life that they have currently to the life that they desire to live in the future. So that is something that I can help other people do, but I might not always be the best at trying to teach myself how to do that. I want to answer somebody's question. I saw Ashley said, Ashley Summer, she's amazing. So if y'all know Black Girls Graduate, if you've ever seen that Instagram, that is Ashley behind that. I don't know if you wanted me to say that because you don't like to be the face of it, but she's amazing. She says, amen. Thank you for consistently sharing what God is doing. I'm learning to allow him to lead every decision I make. Entrepreneurship is spiritual to me as well. I believe my startup is a vision from God. It absolutely, one of the reasons that you know that Ashley's business is a vision from God is because it started out as something that was just like a small idea, but then it caught fire. And then like really in a short period of time, she got so much traction. And so while someone's journey may look like that, that may not be your journey. Okay. Let me just hit on this right now, because there were times where I thought that my journey would, like, I did things in a cookie cutter way, in the way that I saw everybody else doing it. I even got wisdom from other people and like, this is how people do to make things work. But what may be a formula for one may not be a formula for you. What may work for someone else may not also work for you. You have to figure out what works for you, what works for your audience. And so don't get caught up trying to figure out, you're welcome. Don't get caught up trying to figure out where, you know, why your journey doesn't look like somebody else's. Your journey, you're not everybody else, and your outcome won't look like everybody else. So stop comparing yourself and your journey to what other people are doing. The other thing I see people do a lot, and you can easily get caught up doing, is just copying what other people are doing. But you don't know why they're doing what they're doing. They probably have systems on the back end as to why they said the exact text that they sent you in a caption or in an email. If you are over here sitting here copying what they're doing, there's no way to fully copy anything that anybody's doing. So copying a segment of what someone else is doing is you not being inauthentic, and that's not going to get you anywhere. So you have to remind yourself that at the end of the day, that, you know, wherever God has you, when you're getting ready to quit your job, and as you're preparing to quit your job, that, you know, you have to learn to be authentic and find your authentic voice. And segue into, honestly, go-getter experience. One of our sessions there is with Maya Elias, and she's going to be talking about how to find your unique message and make money from it. And I think a lot of times people try to skip to the how do I make money in business, and you skip over the fact that you need to figure out what you're even selling and who exactly you're selling it to, and how to position and message it to them directly. So a lot of times people think like, oh man, you know, I need to figure out how to make money. And you're not even focused on keeping your customer first. You're not even focusing on how to serve people, because that's all business is serving people. That's all it is. People are who have money, that will give you money for a service or for a product. How do you serve people well with the services and the products that you're creating? If you're not figuring that type of stuff out, you don't need to be trying to quit your job. You don't even know who your target audience is, child. If I ask you what's your customer avatar, and you don't have a customer avatar, you don't have a customer persona, you don't need to quit your job, child. You need to research. You need to figure things out. You need to develop a strategy, and then you need to quit your job when you are then ready to quit your job. Okay. So things that I've learned: trust God in the process, have your money set up. One of the things you also want to consider is healthcare. Healthcare is extremely, extremely important. Some people thug it out and go without health care, but child, when I say everything that went wrong could go wrong in my life, like including health, okay? So just make sure that you consider and explore different healthcare options, because, you know, if you're working for a corporation where your benefits covered healthcare, it's definitely a big jump. Like even looking into like Obamacare, I don't even know, like I wish I knew enough, but like affordable healthcare, I don't know if the Affordable Healthcare Act is still in, you know, it's still, I don't know if you can still like opt into that, but if that is something that you can do, even that is expensive. It's like $300 a month, right? Like who thought about paying $300 a month for not being sick? But what happens if you do get sick and then you get hit with the $18,000 bill? That's not what you're trying to hear. So it's like you have to consider all of these things, because honestly, the life and the job that you've been living in might be a luxury to you. It might be something that you have been taking for granted. So you want to make sure that you're considering healthcare. You're considering how you're going to actually create income. You're going to actually consider how you're even going to continuously serve your audience. And you need to have a plan. Like you need to have stuff written out. You need to know what you're going to do with your time, and you need to have a backup plan. maybe, you know, I have friends that have done all types of different things on the side. You just have to ask yourself, what type of lifestyle can you live? Like driving Uber was cool for me, and I'm not too prideful to hop behind an Uber seat and be like, what's good? Hey, how you doing? Okay, where are we headed? And having a conversation with you. And I mean, like I said, too many people glamorize the process, and your process might not look like everybody else's, okay? And people may talk about you. People may be like, so you are quitting your job, but you can't pay your bills. Oh, and you did this, but you still don't know what you're doing. And it's like, that's why you save money to quit your job, so that you can be okay and sustain yourself after. And then once you start creating income, that it doesn't have to be such a pressure on, oh, I have to get to the dollar, have to get to the dollar. You can add value, and you can have the opportunity to switch things up from time to time. So for me, you know, someone asked, have I been able to sustain my lifestyle with my income? Yes, I have now, by way of me being able to actively get clients, but that did not come until I had to spend time doing my work behind the scenes to figure out what I needed to do to quit my job, or to sustain keeping my income coming in consistently, okay? And so what was I about to get at? I was about to get at, yeah, so you just need to trust God and know. And I'm actually really, really excited because at Go Getter Experience in Atlanta, at the end of next month, I will be speaking on creating a corporate escape plan. So how do you essentially create a plan of action for you to quit your job, to walk away, and be okay after you walk away? And what all steps do you need to take in order to effectively walk away from your job? Yes, you can open the door. Open the door. You can open the door. Yes, you may have some gum. Y'all, I am babysitting. You want to say hi to everybody? She's so adorable. You don't want to say hi. Hi. You got to get over here. Hi. She came in because she wanted to ask for some gum. All right. Well, thank you. Yep. So save up your income and then walk away. And I feel like too many people jump ship like prematurely, and you just have to be mindful. And Tashika says, what would you do differently? Okay. So what would I do differently? Honestly, what would I have done differently? I would have started saving sooner. Like I would have started saving sooner. And I think for me, I always put entrepreneurship out like way far in the future. And so I didn't think that I was actually going to become a full-time entrepreneur as early as I did. And so because I put it so far off into the future, the expenses that I started taking on were like for example, I purchased my home and it's a 3-bedroom, 3-bath, right? Had I like been thinking about like the fact that I would be a full-time entrepreneur sooner, which I had no idea because I didn't know that God was going to force me out as soon as he did, that I probably would have like gotten a smaller space. I would have cut down on a lot of my expenses. And I would have just been way more mindful earlier on before I got locked into certain things. So I think that's one thing that I would do differently. And I would also do a lot more research on my audience earlier on. So I had built an audience, but I hadn't begun really fully communicating with them consistently. I hadn't really developed relationships. And since quitting my job, I have been able to develop relationships with my audience, but that's by way of me getting to know them now. I would have started to get to know them more before so that I can learn how to serve them better and learn how to be a better me so that I could serve them in whatever capacity they wanted. So that's just what I would have done differently. And I did make a mistake of hiring, I hired this one person to be unnamed, and that was supposed to be like a coach, and that was supposed to teach me how to create this business, like a 6-figure business in 90 days, right? And, first of all, that was a whole entire gimmick. Like, I think I was just so, I was so thirsty and ready for information that I thought I didn't have. And I just wanted to expedite the process. And so for me, I spent thousands of dollars on this woman. And, you know, I wish I would have done my research and really thoroughly vetted to see if this person was an ideal person to work with, if their values system and the way that they do business would align with what I did. And I honestly would have done my research, because I would say if I went back, I would have hired the right person to help me. Figure things out and to do my superpower stuff, right? And that I can't do for myself. And so when working with a consultant or a coach or someone who, you know, will teach you how to start a business, you want to make sure that you're working with somebody that is going to give you an outcome that you actually desire, and that they're not just going to give you fluff. And so I wish I would have done my research sooner and really found somebody that could help me create systems to create passive income before I quit my job, and then that would have helped me save up more income. So this is the third time I'm gonna shout out Kashira because she's really great with that. Were they Christians? Not saying it makes it better all the time. And yes, the lady was a Christian. She was over here talking about God and was using all these emotions to get you to buy her $3,500 course. And at the end of the day, I wish I would have saved that $3,500 and used it to invest in my business or to invest in the right person to help me set up these systems. Because I know people that have programs that are way less than $3,500 that could have really helped me. So it's I just had to learn that, you know, not to be frantic, not to be impatient. And anytime that you feel anxiety about something, it's probably not a good thing. You should probably just pray about it and feel at peace and at ease about something. And so I even told Kashira, I'm I wish I knew you knew everything you knew, because I would have been hired you a long time ago. And it's really important to really vet the people that are positioning themselves in front of you, saying that they know what they're doing. What I'm really great at is I'm helping you create structure. If you have an idea, if you have a business that you've always wanted to start, I help you create structure on how to establish it to become a business. And I help you come up with ideas on how to generate income. So that is what I am really, really good at, because I'm able to look at somebody else from afar and tell them, here's what you should be doing, and here's the systems that you should create, and all of that stuff. For myself, I'm terrible at it, but I am great with my clients. For example, right now I have a client who basically came to me and was I want to start a hair extensions company. I have no idea what I'm doing. So I'm walking her through the process of starting her hair extensions business, everything from how to find vendors, everything from how to test out the hair, everything from how to, you know, what should be included on my website, how do I get started, how do I launch out. And so that's what I'm amazing at helping people do. And I had to figure out the value that I brought to people. I think that's the other thing that I would have made sure I did differently, is to understand what my strengths are and really understand myself and what value I bring to other people, so that I can package that in a way that makes sense. So what I ended up turning that into doing was I have a business launch strategy. And basically, I help people get their businesses off the ground. And in 2 sessions, we pretty much create this 5-year plan for your business. How will your business grow over the next 5 years? Then from there, once I've created a formula for how your business is, what you're going to do, all of this stuff, I then help you month to month actually with execution. So I had to realize what came to others difficultly, or what was difficult for other people was easy for me. So I was able to package my expertise in a way that brought value to other people. Another thing that I started doing was for people that had a business, but they're okay, you know, I created this business, but I'm not making any money, or I don't know how to get paying clients. So I help people come up with strategies to get clients coming in on a consistent basis by way of the type of business that they have. So I've done everything from if you're an event planner and you're trying to figure out how to get more paying clients, well, I'm gonna send you to Eventbrite. to look up at all these events and start reaching out to these people, asking them if they need an event planner. There's your business right there. You got money sitting right in front of you that you waiting on. You have money that you're sitting right in front of that you're not taking advantage of. So that's like what I do really well. And I've been able to package that and help other people. But I would have done more self-assessment on the front end of really understanding who I was, the type of value that I added to other people's lives, and really talking about it more often. And I think that was one of the things that I struggled with early on, was that I do all these things, but nobody knows that I do them because I'm never talking about them. So I had to get real, do some self-evaluation and be like, here's what, I'm going to do. I'm going to talk about the things that I offer. I'm going to be open and honest about the things that I'm doing. Even with my Go-Getter conference, like, that takes work. You have to be talking about that all the time. So for those who don't know, the brand that I have is called Epic Fab Girl. We help faith-based, career-minded women discover purpose and go after their dreams fearlessly. So we do that by way of events. We have our Winners Table event that's coming up in Chicago, September 6th. We've got our Atlanta Winners Table coming up September 28th. And then we've got our Go-Getter experience that is coming up September 29th. And that is really going to be a weekend filled with just helping you take your business to the next level. So whether you have a business that you have yet to start, or a business that you have started and you're trying to figure out how to make more money, or you have a blog and you want to figure out how to monetize it, we basically help you walk in your purpose by way of pursuing entrepreneurship. And so, like, for example, the Go-Getter experience is literally set up workshop style, and you're going to learn everything from social media marketing to how to get paying clients on social media, to how to create viral video content, how to set up your business. Should it be an LLC? Should it be an S Corp? Should it be, how do you set up your bookkeeping to make sure that you're on top of your accounting? How do you set up your payroll once you start paying people? Like, that was one of the things I had no idea how to do. So I help other people. Like, that's my expertise, is highlighting other people and bringing them in to serve my audience. And so that really has helped me really do self-evaluation and learn to leverage my strengths to help other people build what they're building. And so if you're interested in sending Go-Getter experience, you can head to gogetterevents.com or gogetterconference.com. We have some amazing speakers, including Marshawn Evans Daniels, who has written the book Believe Bigger. We've got Maya Elias, who is amazing when it comes to email marketing and really finding your message. And I'm just really thrilled about this opportunity and this experience, because it's literally going to be dope. Like anybody who knows me knows that I'm really big on like putting together quality events that add value. I was tired of like, I had to find a gap in the audience. And that's one of the things for you. If you're thinking about quitting your job, or you want to start a business or do whatever else, you need to have a plan of action, but you also need to know how your business is actually going to serve people. And you serve people by way of finding gaps in the marketplace, or gaps in businesses that already exist. So if somebody is doing certain things out there, but they're not doing it quite the way that you are doing it, that's the value that you bring. So the value that I bring for Go-Getter Conference is faith-based, career-minded women entrepreneurs and influencers. So we're bringing faith and business together. Yep, Samantha Pitt says Winners Table Dallas was awesome. Thank you so much. It literally was an amazing event, and I'm not just saying that because I'm saying it, but I really value bringing quality people into the room to pour into the people that need to get to the next level. And so even with what we do with Go-Getter Experience is we make sure that we're putting together people who know what they're talking about in front of our audience to talk workshop style to someone. So we're teaching them stuff. I was tired of showing up at events. That was the gap that I saw in the market. I would go to all these, well, there's two gaps. So the first thing was I would see all these women's empowerment events, and you would just get goosebumps. You would hear all these amazing stories of these people, but you wouldn't hear how they did it. I used to walk away irritated, like, do you know that I have this amazing vision, but I don't know how to execute it? I have no idea how to go after this. So I wanted to create an event that added value and told people how to get to where they're going. And then I also saw all these like faith Christian entrepreneur conferences that were like, oh, I give myself to you, Lord. Everything I do is for you. And you're just so amazing. And that was the end of it. And they would tell you, oh, you have this amazing purpose in God and all this stuff. And that's great and it's needed. But then I also saw this world of go-getter women that were boss babes that were like, I'm out here, I'm self-made, I'm out here doing this on my own. And it was like, no, that was not my journey. I need to merge these worlds of being a boss babe entrepreneur and being a woman of faith, because it is possible. And you don't have to be self-made. God can give you the vision for your business and you can execute it and run with it. And so that was where I wanted to merge those worlds. So I saw a gap in the market and I created it. And I also made sure that, you know, we're not just going to have people sitting up here sharing all these stories. And we want to hear truth, transparent truth that is going to help you get to your next level. So that's Go Getter Experience, gogetterconference.com. Check that out. If y'all have any other questions, definitely let me know. Bree says, glad I clicked on my video. Thank you so much. And thank you that I'm relatable and inspirational. I appreciate that. That's from God, I'm assuming, because y'all, I don't be knowing what the heck I'm doing it. But yeah, I want to remind you guys that, you know, if you don't know how to do something, don't let that hold you back from doing it, right? Just because you don't understand exactly how to do something, that doesn't mean that it's not possible. Yes. You said it's been a while since being on my live. That's because I haven't been going live. So I'm trying to do better and really become more consistent with reaching my audience. And, you know, I'm always on the go. Like literally this year has been crazy. But y'all, I cried on live today. I'm such a child. Like, why was I on here crying? I'm so embarrassing. But yeah, no, like I've literally been trying to pour into my audience and I really want to give you guys raw, true value. And I'm also considering starting kind of like a YouTube vlog that just shows the ins and outs of, God was telling me this today, not to wait. Yes, you do not need to wait and feel like you have to know everything to start making moves. We have Google University. You can Google anything you want, figure it out, and that's the end of it. Like, just keep putting one foot in front of the other. But like I said, I'm really considering putting up a YouTube vlog. I've been recording like videos that the world has not seen since quitting my job. Like, these are moments when I'm like crying, where I'm like, oh my God, here's the most terrible thing that just happened to me. Because I'm like, I'm keeping these for when I become a billionaire and people gonna be like, oh, this is what the journey to the top looks like. I'm like, yeah, you thought it was easy. No, it's not, but this is my life, okay? And so, like I said, you're being real. This is what we need. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. But yeah, so I appreciate you guys. And like I said, if you have something that you want to move forward with and you want to do and you want to operate fully in, like, just start moving. Stop being afraid of like what's next or like how to move and what to do, and just start taking steps in the right direction. So I just wanted to mention a few other things that I'm doing so that y'all know. If y'all are in Chicago, make sure y'all come kick it with me next week. It's September 6th. It's actually our 2-year anniversary celebration in Chicago, so I'm really excited about that. Partnering with an organization called Women Who Hustle, and Candace Nicole PR. She's amazing. I love, love, love and adore her. And so I'm really excited about that. So I really value being able to meet with my audience in person. So if you guys can head over to my Instagram, or just go to, what's the link to that, is winnerstableshy.eventbrite.com. You can check that out. And then if you are interested in like a one-on-one, or just think that you may want to work with me in any capacity, definitely just shoot me an email at CandaceJunée.com, and Junée is spelled Junee. And like, I always do free like discovery calls to see if like it's the right fit for us to work together. But I'm always here to help you guys. If you guys have emails or questions, feel free to shoot them over to me. And for those who are on Facebook and Periscope, make sure that you comment, and if there's anything that you want me to talk specifically about, like I said, I'll be sharing more about my journey of quitting my job and what that looked like. I'll be sharing more over the next like month or so. I've got more comments. okay, over the next month or so. But if there's anything specific that you want me to talk about, make sure you comment that below. Even when it comes to like walking in your purpose, and you know, like I talk about everything, y'all. Like walking in your purpose, pursuing purity, like knowing, like discernment. Like I talk about everything, child. So whatever it is that you want my wisdom about, I'm here to share it. And especially when it comes to purity, I know that's one of the things that I've always been tiptoeing around with God. I'm like, God, is this something you want me to talk about? But I realize that not enough people are real and open and honest and raw about it. So I always have to be, just because it's been 3 years for me since, you know, I've even kissed anybody. And that is just a testimony to God's faithfulness, because child, it didn't used to be that way, okay, at all whatsoever. I could barely go a couple months without, you know, slipping back into sexual sin. So, I mean, that's just my life, and I like to share it with other people. So I appreciate y'all for staying on here with me, for watching me cry, for, you know, not judging me. I love you guys, and I hope you guys have an amazing, amazing, amazing rest of your day. If you're not already following me on Instagram, that's where I love to stay connected with my audience, because I love y'all to see my pictures and then to be commenting and not only liking a comment and respond and all that. So make sure that you connect with me on there as well. And it's Candace Junée, Junee. Candace is spelled Candace. So Candace Junée. I love you guys. Thank you, and hopefully I can see you guys at one of my upcoming events. Love you guys, and talk to you soon.